Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Emily Anderson with FranNet, and I'm really excited about this unique opportunity as we work with some really phenomenal boutique franchise brands here at FranNet. And I was really pleased when multiple franchisors had contacted me and I'd identified, hey, Eugene holds a really amazing opportunity. And so we wanted to share this information with you. We're going to hear from a couple of them. Just real quick, if you're wondering who is FranNet, we have been around for about 30 years, and we are a franchise consulting organization. The way I like to see it is that we advocate for you in exploring franchise ownership and help you make a really safe and wise decision as to whether or not it makes sense for you. There's currently over 4,000 franchises, and we have focused on about 200. We actually decline 5 out of every 6 franchise brands that approach us to support their development. So you know that the next couple of franchisors that you're going to hear from are the cream of the crop. We also have national partnerships with the Small Business Development Center and SCORE. And for those of you in Eugene, you've got some really robust chapters and organizations that provide free advising to small business owners and entrepreneurs, both from the SBDC at Lane Community College, and Eugene has a very robust SCORE chapter. That SCORE chapter is SCORE Willamette, with a solid mission and vision. They have helped many, many entrepreneurs nationwide, and locally there are 30 mentors at the local SCORE chapter that can help you in all areas of expertise. Their website and phone number is provided above. Again, feel free to jot it down, or you can revisit this later. And I want to tell you just high level why we like these unique business opportunities that we're going to talk about. Both are highly recession resistant, and they offer scalability. One of the common limitations of a smaller market is what we call one and done. But even in an area like Eugene, there is great opportunity to scale. These are executive models, great opportunity for an empire builder. Also, both provide multiple revenue streams. And an Item 19 is part of a franchise disclosure document. And in a franchise disclosure document, some of them have what we call an Item 19, which is an earnings claim. And point being is both of these franchise brands have impressive earnings claims that you will be able to access in your research. So I am going to hand it off to these gentlemen. For those of you in attendance, if you have any questions, as I mentioned earlier, this is a really intimate group of high-level professionals. Feel free to have dialogue and conversation. If you have any questions, you can just jump right in vocally, or if you prefer, you can type your questions in the chat box. So Michael, take it away.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Emily. Appreciate it. And thanks for inviting us and to be on this webinar. And as you mentioned, I had reached out to you because Eugene is a very important market to us and is important right now for a couple of specific reasons, which we'll get into as we continue on here. But first I'll start off. So college nanny, sitters, and tutors. So here's a picture of me. It's Michael Condon. I'm the director of franchise development, and that's my wife, Alini, and my boys, Tyler and Lucas. And today I really want to just touch on a few things about our organization. I'll give you a little bit of background into our history, and then I want to be able to answer a few questions if you've got them at the end as well. But I'll start off really what's important to us. So we build stronger families with our brand, and that's really important. We're working with children across the country every day. And so with everyone in our organization, all the way down to the nannies, sitters, and tutors, we're really looking for these 3 things: can-do attitudes, those that understand that results do matter, right? We're working with kids, results matter, and we want to leave it better. Whatever the situation is, we want to make sure we're always leaving that situation better than when we came into that situation. Some background here. So we're in 196 territories across the country, 30 different states. We are the fastest growing child care provider in the country. largest employer of nannies and sitters in the country. We're also currently ranked number 138 on the Entrepreneur Magazine Franchise 500 as well. But I wanted to mention this part of it because this is the number one reason why I'm on this webcast, and Eugene is such an important market to us. So we are owned by the largest child care company in the U.S. called Bright Horizons Family Solutions. So they started up in Boston in the mid-'80s as a traditional child care centers, and then created a unique niche for themselves because they grew across the country, placing these child care centers on corporate campuses or nearby them. And they've grown to have more than 1,100 corporate clients, and they are the largest provider of employer-sponsored child care across the country. So they're a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. You can look them up under the ticker symbol BFAM, BFAM. And so they have clients ranging from Goldman Sachs to Target to Home Depot to Google, et cetera, et cetera. And in Eugene, we currently don't have a franchisee. And our franchise system was acquired by Bright Horizons because we are their largest source of the backup care that takes place in the employee's home for these contracts. And in Eugene, we have quite a bit of business and no franchisee there. So that's really interesting because a franchisee could step into Eugene and have existing business already there through these national accounts. So I'm happy to follow up on that and give you more detail, but that is the number one reason I wanted to make sure I was on this webcast and working with Emily here and FranNet to hopefully find a great franchisee that's a good fit for us that can build stronger families through these corporate accounts, which is a really pretty cool thing. So when you take a step back, and if I can, just to give you an idea of what is college nannies, sitters, and tutors. So as the name suggests, very descriptive, we provide nannies, babysitters, backup care, and tutors to families. From a business model perspective, we are a simple staffing business, essentially selling hours to moms, right? And we make money for every hour that is sold. Our operational footprint is our franchisees operate out of what we call community locations, which can simply be a shared office space all the way up to more of a retail location. But we've got local franchisees that are work with these nanny, sitters, and tutors and families and companies for backup care needs in their local markets. So this is a good example of what a more retail location might look like, but we really are looking for that staffing hub for us. And so today that can be as simple as a shared office space, or it can be more of retail like this. But that's where all of our administration takes place, and the interviews and hiring and oftentimes meeting with families, and we get customized one-on-one tutoring that could take place in the family's home or in the location itself. And ultimately, oftentimes it simply becomes a cool hangout for college students and our staff, as well as when tutoring takes place there. So as I mentioned, this is the shared office space to retail type of look. So this is one of our retail type of locations. We've got a lot of these across the country, but we also have a lot of the more office type locations. And so it really depends on which market we're in and what makes the most sense for that franchise. But we do require that we're operating out of a physical space within those first 12 months. In terms of the types of solutions, so we touched on the types of services, I should say. We touched on the nannies, sitters, and tutors, but what does that really mean? Really, we're doing full-service child care solutions, so that means nanny placement. So full-time types of nannies, or part-time types of nannies. Some families simply use this on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, or certain days a week during this quarter, and then it changes the next quarter. Summer, after-school types of situations. And then the hourly child care, which is babysitting, the backup care, and that's what we're talking about for the national accounts that we work with through our parent company, Bright Horizons, and specialty type of care. So we do a lot of church care, events for lots of different events for businesses and things that are really kind of more in that specialty type of market of care. And then tutoring as well. So one-on-one private tutoring for homework help, and then college test prep. Those are the two areas that we focus in on. So when we're operating these, there are really two main roles in each of our franchises, and that is more of the family placement manager role and then what we call a role model manager role. You can really look at it as the family manager working with families and bringing in new customers and working with marketing and brand building types of activities. And the role model manager is more of that staffing person who is working with the nannies, sitters, and tutors, recruiting, interviewing, hiring, and training them. So our staff of those nannies, sitters, and tutors are typically heavily female, between 18 and 24 years old, oftentimes college students, but not required. But majority across the country are current college students, so those that are going to community college, undergraduate school, tech schools, graduate schools, or in between, and they have the hours available that fit perfectly with the families that we work with. As far as the market, so there are more than 70 million children in the country, of course growing every year, and child care is a huge market at over $46 billion, and tutoring is a $10 billion market. We talk about the different market trends. Child care businesses in the U.S. have been consistently growing. Child care is a constant need. We grew right through the recession 10 years ago, and we currently continue to grow today. And then this industry is, as I said, is recession resistant. When we look at the type of competition that we have from the nanny and sitter side of things, there is the traditional kind of girl down the street, grandma, that's low price, no touch, no tech solution, and more difficult all the time. My grandma doesn't live next door all the time anymore and just isn't expected to do as much child care as she used to be. And that 16-year-old girl down the street, well, if you need them 3 times over the next 2 weeks, you may be able to get them once or twice, but 3 times is oftentimes difficult just because there are so many extracurricular activities available to her today that just weren't there even 20 years ago. And all the way on the other end, we've got more of that high-end nanny placement types of service, and that's the more of the au pair and nanny placement services. That's high price, high touch, but no tech solutions. And in between, we've got 2 different types of businesses. One is more of the care.com, urban sitter, kind of the web-only Craigslist type of version for care. And then the us, which is the combination between more of that nanny placement and tech service. So we've got mobile app, very high-tech features and real-time scheduling systems in our systems. On the tutoring side, that's a more mature marketplace. There are lots of national competitors out there. What we do is really focus in on that 7th grade to college prep age and one-on-one private tutoring. And that's really a great focus because we're in families with the child care piece of it, and they love us and trust us. We become the first source for one-on-one private tutors as well. As far as training and support, this is I think what you expect from a first-class type of franchise system, as any of those that you'd see through FranNet. But we've got really great franchise training and certification, online, in person, virtual learning things. We have business community for franchisees to communicate intranets, different things like that, and then conferences and franchise advisory councils, all those things that you would expect. From a technology perspective, as I mentioned, we've got real-time scheduling systems. We've got mobile apps with trained certified sitters that families can utilize. This isn't just somebody they're finding off the web, but somebody who's been trained, certified with us that they can book as an Uber-esque app real-time and schedule them. As far as marketing and recruiting, of course, national brand, PR development, great assets, supporting tools, all those things, of course, that you would expect as well. And then national accounts. So we've got the Bright Horizons, which I was mentioning earlier. That's our parent company. We also have Inspirato, which is one of the premier travel destination clubs, and we have national accounts with them and a few others as well. In terms of financial performance, so in our 2019 franchise disclosure document, which I'm happy to share with you if you're interested in learning more, we lay out the franchises in our system and revenues, and so you can see here like the top tier of our franchisees, over $2 million in sales last year. Our investments roughly $105,000 to $173,000, That does include the $45,000 franchise fee, and we've got single or multiple franchise territories available depending on, what size you're looking to grow. In the Eugene market, that is one territory for us. And as I mentioned, we've got some great backup care accounts already there with companies like Target and Wells Fargo and Symantec and HP and U.S. Bank, et cetera, that we have business there and no franchisees to service it. Our ideal candidate is really someone who is aligned with our purpose and core values. We want them to have the desire and ability to grow larger units like our top franchisees do. We want them to have the ability and willingness to market and sell or to hire a management team. It is very common today. We've got franchisees that have even locations in other states, and they run them through managers or have other businesses and different things that they're also doing. And then, of course, being active in a local community can really help this business, because when we're dealing with people's families and their children, referrals are still a very large source of our business. And so the more we could be active in a community, that really helps. And then, of course, a net worth that of $500,000 or greater. If this is something that is of interest to really dig in and take a look at, these are the different 6 steps we'll go through. Got a lot of recorded webinars and videos for you to view to learn a lot about us. And, of course, we'll connect and I'll answer questions along the way. So in a summary is really what we do. We're a staffing business selling hours to families, and we make money for every hour that nanny, sitter, or tutor works. And I would say from really when we're looking at this industry and what we're doing, our core differentiators are a social impact. Building stronger families is really important to our franchisees. Multiple revenue streams to be able to work with families as their children are growing from cradle all the way to college. Technology is really heavy and important in our system and a key differentiator. And then our parent company, Bright Horizons, and in many markets like this one where we've got existing business already there. So why are we different? Well, we're the largest leading national brand with local representation across the country. We're the largest employer of in-home child caregivers. We've got a complete set of child care and sitter services, which is really interesting. It's different than what's typically out there today. We got nationally recognized background screening process, ongoing training and development, legally employed staff, which happens to be really important when you're in this industry, industry-leading technology, insurance and operational practices to meet service level agreements to the nation's leading Fortune 100 companies. We've got insurance in place, and because of our status in the industry and the largest employer of in-home child caregivers and owned by the largest child care company, we've got insurance you just can't go to your local State Farm agent and get, and that's an important piece of this business as well. And, of course, being part of the Bright Horizons Family Solutions. So with that, I want to thank you and see if we've got any quick questions here before we, of course, move on and learn a little bit more about our next business as well. Any questions at this point?
Hey, Michael, can you hear me? It's Emily.
I can, yes.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. And in terms of the different revenue streams, would you say, is there one that is consistently the majority of the business, tutoring, sitters, et cetera, or does it vary from location to location? Yeah, so what's interesting with our business is that at one point in time it was really nannies and tutors. And in fact, the name of our company early on was College Nannies and Tutors. And sitters was just a very small piece of the business. We didn't even market it that much. Well, over the last about 5 years, the sitters and the backup care piece, of course, being acquired by the largest child care company helps with that. But that has grown to be really the biggest piece of our business. So the nannies and sitter side of it is about 80 to 90% of our overall revenue today, simply because of the huge growth over the past 5 years. And so, if, for example, in Entrepreneur Magazine, we're in the March edition of one of the top 100 fastest growing franchises in the country. And these are reasons why. But tutoring still remains a strong component of our business. It's grown throughout the years. It's just this, we've
being part of Bright Horizons and having all this childcare business has made that the biggest piece of it.
And then one other thing. So I had never, maybe I'm the only one, but I was not familiar with the concept of backup care. Can you say more about that? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So when Bright Horizons first started, and they started in Boston in the mid-'80s as a traditional child care facilities, and then they started working with these large companies and putting these facilities either on a corporate campus or nearby, and then signing a contract with that large company to be the child care center for the large corporation's employees. And that turned out great for them, and they grew across the country. That became big for them. So they now work with around 200 and some of the Fortune 500 companies. But these companies would say, that's great, but what about all of my employees have kids that are already in school? Because we know how often that school is closed because, there's a teacher's in-service day or simply a holiday, but we still need to work. And these large employers would find that all of their parents would miss work that day. And so they worked with Bright Horizons on a solution for that, which was, well, let's try to get them into our child care centers. But one problem with that is there's not a lot of capacity in there. And the second is a 9-year-old doesn't want to necessarily go spend the day with 3-year-olds. And so the solution Bright Horizons came up with was to contract third-party vendors like ourselves, like our company, to be able to provide a babysitter to the home to service those clients' families right in their home. And that would be subsidized by the employer. So usually someone could tap into that. An employee could tap into that, say, 5 times a year, and it's heavily subsidized by the employer. Maybe they're only paying $2 an hour for it or something like that. And then so we became the largest provider of the largest company that worked with Bright Horizons, providing that backup care sitter into the families' homes, and so much so that they acquired us mid-2016. So I'm technically a Bright Horizons employee, even though my business card says college nannies, sitters, and tutors on it. But does that help?
Yeah, thank you. I'm a little jealous because I have a 10-year-old. But yeah, thank you for the education.
Yeah.
Anybody else have questions on this? No? All right. Well, thank you, Michael, so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Greg.
Yes. Good afternoon. Can you hear me, Emily? Everybody good?
Yes, sir. I can hear you fine.
Outstanding. And I advanced the slide over to Jan Pro. Is that broadcasting? You can see it?
Yep, I can see it.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for the invite this afternoon, man. It's always fun to talk to some folks who are thinking about franchising. And this is going to sound like Emily set me up to say this. I didn't. I think FranNet is an outstanding organization. If you're working with her, they're consummate professionals. There's a lot of folks in the franchise coaching business, but they're the best. So there you go, Emily. And we've worked with a lot of brands, a lot of different companies to help grow Jan Pro over the years. I think FranNet has been instrumental in making Jan Pro literally a worldwide brand. And so it's been a great relationship. So happy to be here and chat with you all. LYNX Franchising is our parent company. So we've got a couple of brands. Recently, we just picked up Intelligent Office in the shared office space, and we're about to relaunch that very soon. It's a very exciting emerging space, but today we're here to talk about Jan Pro, and Jan Pro has been around for many, many years. I think the reason I bring up the leadership team, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but just so you know who we are as people, I think the folks that have been in this organization, many of them, Dennis Thompson, Anita, for many years, 18, 20 years, and there's a lot of history here. There's a wonderful legacy of, if you're going to join a franchise, the people are really an important and crucial part of it. Who are they? Do you trust them? Are they really here to support you? They have your best interest at heart, and I think if you come to investigate Jan Pro, get to know the folks, because it's equally as important, as all the fun stuff we're going to share about the business model, right? We'll talk a little bit about the business model, take you through some nuts and bolts, and so that you understand it and try to figure out. In my career, I've been a franchisee before, so I understand what it's like to evaluate, to make the decision, to go all in, to build something. and ultimately to sell it and have an equity stake in something that I built, and it was a great experience. But you got to know who are the people. Is this thing worthy of my time and attention? And so hopefully you'll learn some stuff in the next few minutes here as I talk through JanPro, and you can figure out, hey, I like that, or no, that's not for me, and that's fine too. But here's a little bit about us real quick. 1991, been around a long time, 28th year in the business. This is a master franchise, so it's different than a traditional franchise. I'm going to explain how that works, but there's 146 masters. There's more than 8,500 unit franchises in 11 countries. We're now up over 55,000 customers that we serve, people whose businesses JanPro franchisees clean. Here's the 11 countries if you're so interested and inclined. But I think over the course of this thing, it's become a gigantic franchise. It's the 11th year in a row that it's Entrepreneur Magazine's ranked #1 commercial cleaning franchise. This is something we're really proud of. We work hard to keep that award and the recognition. But there's a lot of competition in a lot of spaces, especially commercial cleaning, and it's great to be at the top. And I would tell you, the track record of growth, the only reason I bring this up is not to impress you with numbers. We'll be a $500 million company in a couple of months from now. It's just to impress upon you that franchises that are well capitalized, that have been around a long time, that are firmly entrenched in the position that they own, and have the resources to properly support its master franchisees in our case. And I think this is, I really like what Michael had to say about his concept and the recession resistance. It makes a lot of sense. And this makes a lot of sense too. It's recession resistant, and I'll get into the reasons why in a second, but I think it shows in the growth and the consistency of the franchise. So all these things are really going to be important to you when you're considering, hey, which franchise I'm going to get down the road with and really investigate. Look, when you're in the commercial cleaning business, the best way I might be able to describe it is it's like owning a utility. It's the closest thing for average folks to be able to own a piece of a utility. You can't own the water company or the electric company, but these are, you think about businesses and buildings, and every one of them needs to be cleaned at the end of the day. And so, you know, whether or not they have a frequency of cleaning that is daily, or if it's weekly or whatever it is, it's not going to go away. So the way I like to describe it is it manufactures its own demand. You don't really need to explain it a whole lot, right? We just need to differentiate and go win the business. And so we've been able to do that. It's a very, very proven model where you don't need millions of dollars. It's a lower capital investment, and the cash flow is fantastic. And the reason is you're not managing tons of employees. You're not going to be in the cleaning business, so to speak, and I'll explain what I mean by that. If you want to look at this, what's a master franchise, right? This is not a traditional franchise in this sense. You are a master franchisee, and a master franchisee is not in the cleaning business. So JanPro is a commercial cleaning franchise, right? But you're not in the cleaning business. You're in the business of selling franchises and selling the customers. The unit franchisee who you put in business, they are in the cleaning business. They execute. Right? They go out and take care of the cleanings, and they follow your methods, they follow your direction, your coaching, your mentoring. You put them in the business, and they pay you a fee to get in the business, right? They're a sub-franchisee. You might be familiar with that term. We call them unit franchisees. They are really the heartbeat of this organization, right? There's more than 8,500 of them worldwide. But you as a master franchisee, and Eugene is an open market for us. Eugene, Medford, there's a master franchise available where your role is going to be two things, right? You're going to do some things for the unit franchisee that they can't really do for themselves, and they're going to do some things for you that you don't want to do. You don't want to go in and clean businesses. You don't want to go and manage dozens and dozens of hourly wage folks to go and clean businesses, because there's a lot of challenges with that. Folks quit, they don't show up, et cetera. A unit franchisee is a business owner, so they're not an employee. Once they've paid money, they have skin in the game. They approach it differently. That's what we've learned over many, many years. This is what makes the model so successful, is because these folks own their own little small business. They've paid you a fee to get into the business, right? And they treat it differently. Mentally, they treat that much differently than employees would. And what they need help with is customers. They can't go into a doctor's office, an office building, a dentist, a school system, a daycare center, et cetera, and really win the business. They can't sell themselves in a very crowded marketplace, but you can. It's a sales and marketing organization. That's what master franchisees run. You and your sales team go in, you win the business, you place it in the hands of unit franchisees who have paid you to be in that business, and you take a royalty and a support fee off of every gross dollar that's billed. So that's why it works. This is an executive business model where you need to know sales. You need to understand leadership. You need to have been in a business sense, someone who's run a team and understands how to grow an organization, right? This is not you're not buying a job, but this is a servant leadership type of mentality business where you're going to win over unit franchisees who have a dream of small business ownership. You're going to put them in business. They're going to buy into you, right? And then you're going to mentor and coach them and provide a book of business for them. And that's why this thing works. You need one office, right? And then you can scale. And I think scale is a really important part of this franchise. And the reason that our master franchisees have done so well is because you can then go out and sell as many unit franchises as you want and as many accounts as are possible. There are tens of thousands of businesses in the market. You need inside-outside sales, right? Somebody to set up the appointments for an outside salesperson, go in and win the business. Of course, we teach and train you on how to do all of that. Then a franchise consultant or an internal operations person, and they're going to go and manage the quality assurance. When a unit franchisee cleans that building, they go in and visit on a monthly basis, make sure it's being done properly, and then they train all your new unit franchisees, right? You're going to sign unit franchisees into the business. Someone has to train them and make sure they're doing it the Jan Pro way. So it's a small staff responsibility, but you can sell as many franchises as you want. Last year, 1,755 new unit franchisees came in, which is nice growth. We're up over 55,000 customer accounts. So where do you make your money? These are the sort of the big 12 verticals, right? You're a master franchisee. You're running a sales organization. Your people are calling on hospitals, health facilities, which are, daycare, or rather doctors and dentists, office buildings, school systems, child care centers, et cetera. There's lots of churches and banks and retail and restaurants and auto dealerships, et cetera. Somebody has to clean them. At the end of the day, a dentist, when they're done spilling your blood and guts around, they don't look around and go, gee, should we clean up? Right? That's not the question. The question is, hey, who's going to do it? And we need to have a professional service done so that it's done properly and we keep the practice clean and we keep the health concerns down. So this is what we hang our hat on. When you think about the Jan Pro brand, the reason that these guys, our master franchisees, are able to win business and differentiate is because you have the strongest guarantee in the industry. You're going into a prospective customer, and you say, look, here's a written schedule of tasks. These are things that we're going to agree to do. We're going to clean them to your specifications. And if you're not 100% satisfied, we'll fix it. If we can't fix it, you get a free one. We'll clean it for free on the next one. And so you don't want to give away free cleanings, of course. And so here's where we differentiate. Here's why this model has worked for so long, is because owner-operators, unit franchisees, have a personal vested interest, right? They understand that they've paid money to be in this. And so when they have skin in the game, they're going to bring that work ethic, and you take their great work ethic and you plug it into a professional system. And that's why it works. They have the relationship with the account, right? They stay with that account, which is great. There's a consistency in a relationship that's built. These folks are going to be trained by you. They have to be insured, right? Bonded, background checked, uniform, just like you see there. So they know what they're getting, right? Businesses want to feel comfortable that you have a professional run organization, that they know what they're getting. They know that the folks coming in are insured and trained and properly backed by you, a master franchisee. Just a real little bit about how they go about things. This is all part of the effectiveness of the company and why there's so many accounts worldwide that trust Jan Pros, because they use microfiber color-coded cloths, right? So your folks, when you train unit franchisees, the red will only be used in bathrooms, and it's microfiber. It's not cotton or old dirty T-shirt, right? When you get mom and pops that go and clean buildings stuff, you don't know what you're getting. They just push dirt around. You have to go into professional buildings and go, look, We're going to prevent cross-contamination. It's a real big problem. And so red will only be used in bathrooms, right? So you'll never see a JanPro cleaner using some old dirty T-shirt they just wipe down a toilet with, cleaning, your phone or your desk and your office. It's disgusting, but it happens. And so we have a strategy, and it's a very simple and smart one. And blue is used for windows and glass, yellow for horizontal surfaces, green for spot cleaning, right? There's professional grade cleaning liquids that are used, hospital grade stuff. So when they go out and they perform, it's very important that customers understand that we have a very smart strategy that prevents cross-contamination, cleans properly, disinfects properly. The vacuums have HEPA filters in it, right? So they leave the air quality better than when they started vacuuming. This is stuff that you don't get with traditional cleaners. And the last piece of it is this is a secret weapon. If we had a secret weapon as a franchise, here it is. It's called EnviroShield, right? And it's a very powerful disinfectant liquid in this tank that gets sprayed out here of this special machine, and it becomes negatively charged, like electrostatic spray, like static cling, and it spreads out at 100% surface contact. So this is how they finish the job, if you will, by spraying down an environment. It's very, very safe, very effective. You could spray in a daycare center, spray a child's toy. They could pick it up, put it in their mouth, and it wouldn't harm them at all. But this is what's used to disinfect and to clean environments. Last year, the flu was so bad, we've been called into high school in Texas, and Good Morning America picked it up, and it became a TV story because the school was shut down because of the flu, right? And they called us in to spray it down and get it back online. So it's a very powerful differentiator. Only JanPro has it. And I just took a few minutes really to kind of explain the process, because I think it's important that it's not an employee, it's a franchise owner that you put in that business, right, who has a vested interest in keeping that account happy. And they're using a process, a patented process that's extremely effective and very important, because businesses, schools, office buildings, doctors, hospitals, I don't care what it is, they cannot afford to have cross-contamination and go offline. So proper cleaning is essential. Marketing, print, collateral. I'll breeze through this quickly. I just want to show you a couple of things so that you know our support from a marketing standpoint and an effectiveness standpoint, and from the ability to help you win customers. There's 100 more pieces of collateral and things. It's as professional looking as we are as an organization. So you have an amazing marketing department to help support you as a small business owner, help you win the business. Now, last part is about financial benefit. There are multiple revenue streams, and I'm going to take you through a couple of them real quick. You control all the cash. It's a very simple expense structure. When I say market size is the ceiling, meaning there's thousands of businesses in the market. Master franchisees in our system build a book of regular customers. It's contract-based. They sign up for a year. There's in Atlanta, the master franchisee has 1,484 recurring service monthly accounts and growing. And there are tens of thousands of them in the market. So the upside is gigantic. Like I said, every business needs to have it done. Cleaning fees, right? You go in and recurring service, special services, or things like carpet cleaning and window cleaning and other things that you can do. You're going to get a fee for all that. Franchise fee. Again, a unit franchisee has to pay you a fee to get in, and then you're taking a royalty and a support fee from every gross dollar that's billed. So how well does the model work? And I think it's, item 19 was mentioned earlier. I think it's important to get context for this. Call around, talk to a lot of franchisees, but the average annual gross profit, this is not top line revenue, this is gross profit average, is over $1 million. And there's very few franchises in the U.S. that have a seven-figure item 19. I think it's a testament to the model and to the ability to scale. But the numbers are real, and the scalability is outstanding. And I think, again, there's a lot to like here. I'll tell you, it's not a sexy business, right? It's not one of those, it's not retail, it's not a new restaurant concept, but this has been steady and true for many, many years. Last thing, there's a national account team down the hall. So these guys sell accounts across the U.S. that have multiple locations, and then we'll call you up and say, here's more business for you. We take a small piece, you get the rest. So this is sort of, you can think of these guys as an addition to your sales force. Look, there are accounts that we're doing with subcontractors in the Eugene market as we speak. So there's very likely a nice book of business that's already built in, a head start, et cetera. We'll give you all the demographics and the numbers. Here are the business counts and the population, qualified businesses by county in the market. Outstanding market, you've got basically the whole southwest portion of the state that's available, as it's a very large territory. So here's what I would do. I'd say, when we go through the process, we do a business model overview. We'll put you in front of master franchisees across the U.S. That you can validate and make calls and come visit us here in Atlanta for Discovery Day. There's financial models that we'll take you through. I think the education process that we'll take you through to help you understand if this is the right thing for you is very, very thorough, very professional. And I think there's a large number of master franchisees across the U.S. We're happy to give you tons of information, objective information. They'll help you and find out if this is right for you. I would tell you, Emily, and you've probably heard this before, I'm an officer of the company, so I get paid to say nice things about JanPro. You should expect that from me. But you can go out and talk to master franchisees in the system, and I think our system has been extremely transparent. They'll be good for you to talk to, very open. They'll give it to you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and see if this is something that might be of interest to you. So, all right, happy to answer questions, comments, et cetera, but that's it for me, Emily. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, and I really enjoyed your presentation. My understanding is that there are very few JanPro territories still available, that it's in large part sold out. Is that right?
We are. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And it so happened that when you and I started talking, I said, well, not in Eugene. It's one of those rare markets that's open. There's probably 15 markets that I would say are really worthy of folks' time and attention left in the U.S., and then we'll be a completely sold out system. But yeah, it's been extremely, very popular over a number of years. But yeah, there's very few left. But Eugene, absolutely.
And I have a question for you, and of course anybody else jump on in. But so the goal of most business owners is, hey, let's get this thing up and running, and most business owners want to be able to step back and have more flexibility. Any insights in terms of how many years somebody might be working full-time in this business before they're able to take a step back, or how is that measured with JanPro?
Yeah, no, well, it's funny you bring it up. And in JanPro, it's measured this way. There's a lot of folks that say the master franchisees have high net worth and low handicaps because they spend a lot of time golfing. But I would tell you that's not true in the beginning. Let's be honest. You got to work hard. It can take a good couple of years to get this thing to a place where you can lower a gear down, so to speak, and work on your handicap. But for those that do, you have to think to yourself, gee, is this one a worthy investment? Is this something where the upside is significant, right? That's worth going all in and putting that kind of time and effort in it. So no doubt you're starting from scratch for the most part, right? And so you've got to build customers. You got to build self-franchisees into the system. But once this thing gets rolling, and I would tell you in a couple of years, there's many. I just finished, I'll give you a real quick story. I finished a resale of in the master franchisee in Spokane. His name is Gary, and Gary said, he'd been at it for 18 years in our system. And I just got to talking with him about, he was retiring, and he said, we got to do the resale over these months here because I spend 4 months a year at my home in Mexico. So, well, that's good for you, Gary. He goes, I have an amazing staff. I had a great team. He said, but certainly in the beginning, there are a lot more hands-on. So it's a fair question.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that franchisee in Atlanta, 1,400 accounts.
1,484. It's a $17 million top-line revenue business, and I was recently over there to see Brad because I take folks over there when they come in for Discovery Day, and I said, he had another amazing year in 2018. I said, Brad, congrats, you had another great year. He said, Greg, thanks. I don't know if we've scratched the surface yet. So it's just a gigantic market of which he owns the entire Atlanta metro, if you can imagine how big that is, and their share keeps growing all the time. But yeah, it's pretty cool because there's, like I said, you just look around in every office building and that's large enough, right? Your little tiny businesses that are not good prospects, but there's so many of them that are. And the thing is, they manufacture their own demand. People show up at those buildings every day and make them dirty, and then the unit franchisee can start out as a side hustle business, right? They keep their day job in a lot of cases, and they start out small, going, give me a few accounts a month to clean, right? And they build their own little business with the help of the master franchisee. And so it plays right into the hands of those folks that go, gee, I need more money in my house. I need more revenue coming in for our household, right? And they don't have to quit their day job.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. What other questions do people have? Anybody? Well, okay then. Well, thank you, Greg and Michael. Thank you so much. For those of you who are on today's call, and I know most of you personally, I would love to have a conversation if you'd like to get any more information about these opportunities, or you'd like to just revisit business franchise ownership. I'd love to have a conversation. For those of you working with Blair Nickel, he might be reaching out to you. We're here to help you safely explore your options. And again, Greg, Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody else, thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Emily.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. Thanks, everybody.